thirst for some significance of the both dimensional kind, you enter a realm of spirit, of sight and sound and mind. Your radio is a cosmic doorway and your psyche begins to spark. When you tune in to Gary Anderson and Night Dreams After Dark.
Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show. The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The show is found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. From our compound, from the West Coast to the East Coast to worldwide, both on the internet and terrestrial radio, you're listening to Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark.
And here I am, and it's After Dark. Well, he's up here at the compound. Well, I hope everybody had a good day. I tell you what, it is getting darn right chilly down at the compound. I can tell you, I'm running the heat 24/7 just to stay warm. Well, I hope you guys are not experiencing bad weather. Tomorrow, they're saying that we have a major storm that's supposed to hit down at the compound. Heavy winds, cold rain, and just windy and all get out. James, are you there tonight, my friend?
Yes, I am here, Gary, and you know what I always say, let's get this paranormal party started.
Well, I think it's already started. I think, anyway. You have a little story you can tell us about what's going on.
Well, I will say this came in today. A huge cigar-shaped object with spears circling it was seen hovering over Baltimore today. There is actually a picture and video of it. I can't show it, but it was it's pretty pretty intriguing video and pictures, actually. And that was reported at 10:01 a.m. this morning when it happened.
And where was this at?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, wow. That is really scary. I wonder how many people saw it. Did they say, who reported it or anything like that?
It's just a little story so far that I've got. It just says the witness claimed to see several of the cylinder-shaped objects in the skies over several hours. The strange craft shaped like a cylinder and with spears circling it has apparently been caught on camera hovering in the skies above Baltimore, Maryland. And it's pretty much all it's got so far, and that's about it. I mean, yeah, here's something else. It says, according to the witness, a white spear was going around the crane at the same time, but that isn't shown in the video, unfortunately. But it's pretty much all it says about it. But it's pretty interesting, and hopefully there'll be some follow-up on it tomorrow, maybe.
Well, normally this time of year, the reports of UFOs seem to dry up quite a bit. But this year, it's not drying up. Have you noticed that there's still a lot of reports almost every day somewhere in our country, let alone, worldwide? It just keeps coming in and keeps coming in.
They do, also with more people out there, and everybody's got some kind of recording or device on them, so the odds of more reports coming in is, I would say, definitely, but I think the activity is up also. So you put them two together, and we're going to have a lot more reports. Yeah, and
MUFON, I'm looking at some of the reports in Porter, Texas, that a UFO, boomerang-shaped object with no lights, no sounds, and all that was reported.
Really? I didn't hear that one. That's interesting. Yeah, there's been a lot of the triangles reported, and I've noticed also a lot of, like the one today, a lot of the cigar or cylinder type. And I even seen one in July that was a cigar shaped.
It's unusual because let's face it, the guitar. I'm thinking guitar because I'm looking at my new guitar. It's hanging on the wall. I got another one. But I was looking, at the type of like cigar type shape reports of UFOs. Was really popular years ago, and then it kind of went into other shapes like the triangle and all that. But then lately, I guess, who knows where they're coming from? Maybe they're coming from a backward world.
Maybe, and hopefully, they don't take a bunch of us back and don't bring us back too. My goodness.
Yeah.
Hey,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you know that the first ever recorded UFO sighting in America was in 1638.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I think they've been seen everywhere, and that was the first reported. Who did they report it to?
A guy named James Everall. He was, in his journal, taking a journal. He was somewhere near the Muddy River on the East Coast in New England. That's about all it says. Yeah, it is pretty interesting. You know what? Then it went down to Charleston, approximately 50 miles away, for at least 2 hours. The men had also reported that the boat began moving against the current. So I guess they had all kind of experiences with it also.
Interesting. Could you imagine? You said the year was what, 16 what?
38.
1638. Wow. Could you imagine, the people, because they weren't very educated back in 1638, trust me. And by the way, I just want to say 1638 was a very bad year.
I'll take your word for
it. You're not going to ask me why?
Okay, why was it a bad year? Tell me.
They're all dead.
Yeah, that would be a bad year.
Yes.
If they're not, they're very old, that's for sure.
Yeah, or mummified. But, seriously, could you imagine back then seeing a UFO? I mean, what would you think it is? Do you think it's maybe from God or whatever? I mean, what would go in their minds seeing something back at that time frame, let alone going back to the 1468 or 1368, or even going way back to the Egyptians? UFOs have always been around, and I got a funny feeling the reason why is they brought us to this planet to mine it, to get all its minerals, to extort our planet, and we were basically slaves.
And you bring up a good point also. they didn't have the vocabulary that we have today. In other words, if they see something like that in the sky, they're not going to say flying saucer or UFO. They might say something like a chariot or, something that moves, or it has fire coming out of it, or a bird, or, so you might have to decipher some of the old transcripts of their writings way back. But yeah, it's a good point. I mean, who knows how many UFO stories that they were talking about, but they didn't have the vocabulary that we do today to describe these things.
No, even like you go back into the, prehistoric days, the drawing in the caves of, men flying in the sky, or, like dressed with a space suit on. I mean, could you imagine what was going in their minds? I mean, they couldn't comprehend what it was. I don't even think people nowadays, a lot of them comprehend what's going on.
Well, here's a perfect example. The one I seen in July, I was in such awe of it, I didn't even video it. I just took pictures. So could you imagine going back 500 years or 300 years and they see that? They'd really be in awe. And if you go back so far, like you're kind of touched on, they would think it was some kind of god or something coming out of the sky.
Oh, yeah. I would think that, too. By the way, I got Dave Edmonds that's going to be coming on here next month, and he's going to be talking again about, his encounters of being abducted for all those years, and he's going to be on. I just wanted to touch base and let you know that.
He's got good stuff. I'm going to tell you, my goodness. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. I mean, I'm glad he's coming back on, and we're going to dig deeper this time than the last 2 times he's been on to, pump them for more information. And, I want to know what he actually thought with this abductions. He had all these, and it was quite a few of them. I want to know if he thought they were evil or maybe beneficial towards mankind. I don't know. I want to find that out.
Yeah, me too, because I know he's got a lot more, and because he's got a lifetime of experiences, really, and you can't get a whole lifetime out of him in a couple hours. So hopefully, we get a little bit more, go a little bit further, like you said, like you're talking about.
Well, look at Calvin Parker; he came out a lot more, and then Timothy Cullen has come out, and we're going to get Timothy back on, I think, in November, because I finally got where he actually admitted that he's been abducted a second time. So we got to find out more about that.
I knew it. I feel for him. I really do. My heart goes out to Tim. It really does.
Well, I figured, once this, and I wish I could get a hold of these other people. I'm going to try. Seriously, have my producer here starting next week when she starts in to actually go through and find out who's still living that had their implants removed. And if, find out if maybe they feel that they had another implant put back in and been abducted again, after it was removed. Because, I just think if the people have their implants removed, they're candidates to get them back in again. They're not going to give up.
No, and I often wonder, too, I had a little theory going on in my head. Who's to say that maybe they don't have a backup implant in a lot of people's case that does happen? And I think... I don't know if it was Dave or somebody we had talked to they did come back and say, hey, quit doing that and put one back in them.
Well, I think that was Dave, or it was maybe somebody else. We'll have to find that out. In El Paso, there was a reporting there, too, of a strange light, and it was triangle-shaped, and it was towards the horizon. I'm going off of MUFON UFO News.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Those are the ones I really think is ours. I think they're the military. I think it's some secret craft that we have, the triangle ones. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just seems with all the research I've done in the last 30 years with these things, it kind of points in that direction.
I don't think we have the technology because, my friend who's no longer Art and his wife at the time, Lamona, they were out in their back on their deck. And he swore to me up and down, let alone he told it over the radio, that a big triangle craft just floated by them. And it made absolutely no sound. And it was humongous.